Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Nvidia. It is time for another update, and on this chart we are tracking a very bullish structure, to no one's surprise really. And here we are starting with a series of 1-2 setups that would then track this as the wave 3 to the upside complete, a wave 4 correction here, and a fifth wave still to extend higher. Now this wave 3 could easily still be ongoing. It's not a need to consider it to have topped already. This is just within my preferred interpretation, and even within this scenario I'm still looking for, at the very least, another significant high to form within this structure to the upside. Within this structure, within this fifth wave, there are so many bullish scenarios we can track. There are so many areas of support we can track before looking for a more significant top to already be in place, that realistically we will not cover a very bearish scenario on this channel. Yeah, we will have probably like 5 levels of support we can track before we would consider this structure complete. Even if we fall through and through and through, we would still have relevant levels of support to track for continuation higher. Now, what can we actually track within this structure? Well, we would have interpretations that will allow several extensions before we consider this pattern complete. So I could track even the idea of an impulse within this area, where this could be a series of 1-2 setups, and then this would be a third wave up, fourth wave down, and a fifth wave would form, but then we would still another 4-5, another 4-5, and only then would we really have this impulse as a complete structure. Now the thing is, the fifth wave itself could extend. It could have formed a significant top, but this could be also just the wave 1. We could get a wave 2 correction, and then a third, a fourth, and a fifth, and it would be only one of the fifth waves we are tracking within this larger pattern. But at the very least, within the most bearish scenario, for me to consider a full count on this chart, in this structure, within this area, I would need at least another significant high, yeah? Within the interpretation of a larger ending diagonal, this would be a 1-2 setup, a third wave up, a fourth wave down, and then a fifth wave. And within this wave 5, I would consider only the wave A to be in place. I would need a correction in a wave B and a wave C to the upside, yeah? Even if we extend lower right now, which is probably my preferred interpretation, as I mentioned even in the previous video, it would be nothing out of line. It would be just following the expected patterns within this area. Now, within this structure to the upside, I don't yet have a confirmed top, because I could still extend within this 5-wave move that we have been tracking. Now, if we were to form a more significant top within only a 3-wave structure, we would have had a better idea of what pattern we should focus on, but since we are able to track this with high probability as a 5-wave move to the upside, I'm right now looking for a possible extension. So in this area, we have been tracking this as a 1-2 setup and a third wave up. This was previously in a green interpretation. This was all in green, what we have here in white, but it was available already. We were then looking for a wave 4 correction within the area of support between the $175.5 all the way down to the $129 level. And within this structure, as long as we don't reset the current wave 4 correction, as long as we don't form another low within this area, we can still track an extension that is part of this 5-wave structure. Now again, for that, we must not form another low, we must not break the $170 level. If we do that, we will need to consider a more significant top to be in place, and that is mainly due to the proportions we are having within this structure. Here we had a pretty quick wave 2 correction. Yeah, this was only a week long, like, yeah, something like that. And if we extend within this wave 4 to such large proportions, it would be very, very difficult to still track it within this interpretation, especially considering how many scenarios are available on this chart, how many interpretations are pointing in the same direction and are basically able to take place of the current structure. Now, as I said, I don't necessarily prefer this white scenario that would allow an extension higher. It is possible, I have no problem with it following through, even with the current structure that we have within this area that is nothing more than an ABC movement that formed to the upside. I have no problem with it extending higher, but based on the structure we have formed within this push to the downside, I heavily prefer that we track this idea of an orange interpretation. I will even remove this white scenario from the chart for now. Within this idea, we have been considering that this could actually work out very fine as an initial 5-wave move to the downside. This could work out very well for an initial wave A in a leading diagonal. We would then expect a correction in a 3-wave pattern in a wave B into the area of resistance provided in probably the previous video, between the $184.6 all the way up to the $202 level, and then at the very least another 5-wave move to the downside within a wave C to complete this correction. Now, if we break above the 78.6% retracement, it is a strong signal that a more significant bottom would be in place and that we would very likely follow through within the white interpretation, but that is not preferred. I do actually prefer that we extend lower. I was looking for a possible top within the wave B. Even in the previous video, we didn't need to extend any higher because we did fulfill the minimum expectations. We got into the area of resistance within a 3-wave pattern. Now, we got an extension, we got a larger 3-wave pattern, but we are still within the area of resistance, and it seems a large downtrend could very easily start from here. Now, I wouldn't look too much into the internal structure within this area, but we will have a quick glimpse. Although, before that, I want to provide you the relevant levels of support for the idea of a larger 1-2 setup or even an A-B setup. It would have the same area of support in both interpretations, and this would be at the levels between the $150.6 all the way down to the $105 level. As long as we hold here the 78.6% retracement, we can track with high probability very complex and very serious extensions within the follow-up structure. Now, depending on what type of pattern forms within this area, we may track even further continuation higher. But as I was saying, this is the minimum for me to consider this overall structure, this overall count full, and to look for a possible more significant top to be in place. Now, for this, I would actually expect to get into the larger area of support. I would be able to track then a possible 1-2 setup in this area. But again, we would need to get to the first level of support for a more clear follow through of this pattern, and we can even look now for an ideal target for the wave C, and that would be the 100% extension of the wave A. And it's not necessarily a level we must reach or we must stop at, it is just a level that the wave C is generally drawn towards, that is at the $154.8 level. Now, as you may notice, this is not even within the area of support. We can, however, extend within an even larger ABC structure. This could form even a stronger 5-wave move to the downside. The wave C itself could get to the area of support. This is not a problem. This is nothing to worry about, especially right now when we don't even have a confirmation that we are going to follow through. Now, in the white interpretation, I will provide you relevant levels of support to track for continuation higher, but they are also useful for determining when this structure is more likely to form a direct breakdown in the orange interpretation. And for this idea, we have the last level of support at the 78.6% retracement at the $174.5 level. A break below that would be a signal and an indication to me that we are following through in this orange idea. Now, at least within the smaller time frame in this ABC structure, not necessarily for this larger area of support and continuation higher. This is part of a larger time frame scenario, yeah? Now, as usual, within this wave C, we are going to track a 5-wave move to the downside. The wave C must always be a 5-wave move, and within what we have formed in this area so far, I can actually even consider this to be an initial 5-wave move to the downside. I can consider this to be a 1-2 setup that could allow us to even track relevant levels of resistance for such an idea. Now, we would have the top, the last level of resistance at the $190.8, a break above that would signal to me that we would at the very least get a reset within this wave B correction, but I wouldn't look too much into it as we have already pushed lower. We have already extended in what could be the third wave to the downside. Now, since we have an initial 5-wave move within this area, within this wave 3, I would be looking for an impulse, meaning I need to see a 5-wave move to the downside, and so far I believe we could very easily consider this to be part of the wave 3, and I would consider the wave 3 to actually still be ongoing. And the ideal target for the internal wave 3 has certainly already been reached, but for this idea of a larger 1, 2, 3, we would actually still need to extend quite a lot more, yeah? Because remember, the ideal target is at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1. In this case, we would be looking roughly at the $173.5 level, yeah? So far, we might rather be forming a larger ABC structure within this area, which may actually allow us to form a more significant bottom within this white area of support and start a larger uptrend. Now, we aren't going to look too much into this idea, but I will provide you internal levels of resistance we can track within this pattern to the downside. And to be honest, as long as we hold here for the larger wave 3, assuming we have completed it, which I don't believe is the case, I believe we will still extend lower. But for this idea, we can track resistance all the way up to the 50% retracement at the $183.9 level. If we break above that, it is a signal that an early bottom has taken place. Now remember, this could form the structure to the downside within the wave C. In many paths, in many patterns, it doesn't need to even form an initial 5 to the downside. It could be that this is just an ABC within a wave 1 and we build a larger ending diagonal. I just don't want you to assume what type of structure can and must follow for this interpretation to be valid. It will need to be tracked closely to determine the exact possibilities within this idea. But yeah, for the wave 3 to be a valid interpretation, a valid scenario, we would need to get to the ideal target. If we fail to do so, I will be tracking this as an ABC structure, which would allow a correction to be complete in, once again, the white interpretation that would allow a fifth wave to form within this area in a larger ABC structure. Now, I don't want you to get caught too much into all these interpretations that are possible on this chart. I want you to focus on the relevant levels of resistance and support within the different time frames. Again, for the larger time frame, let's start from the larger time frame. We have the area of support for the orange interpretation starting at the $150.6 level. As long as we get to this area, we can look still for continuation higher within this interpretation. But if we don't manage to form another low within this path to the downside, I would still consider the white interpretations to still be able to extend higher within this area. Yeah? The fifth wave is still possible. Then in the smaller time frame, as long as we don't break above the 78.6% retracement, the orange scenario remains favorable to me. I would need to see a break above that to favor the white interpretation that would allow a more direct breakout in the fifth wave. Yeah, this is from this time frame perspective. Now, in the even smaller time frame, I'm still looking for lower continuation within an internal structure in this area as long as we hold the 50% retracement. If we break it, I would consider a more significant bottom to possibly be in place in this area, yeah, possibly even forming a larger wave A. We would then have this as a wave B correction, and the wave C could still take place and take us to higher prices, possibly within the fifth wave in white, possibly within just this wave B in orange. And within the white interpretation, as long as we hold the 78.6% retracement, the $174.4 within this time frame, we can still look for an extension higher. Again, still possibly within the wave B in orange or within the larger fifth wave in the white interpretation. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.